Hello, my name is Cheryl Delk-LeGood. I'm the Executive Director for English USA, the Association of English Language Programs in the U.S., and you are listening to EdUp, Accelerated Excellence.
The EdUp Accelerated Excellence podcast is supported by the 2.0 conferences to be held in Las Vegas, April 7th through 9th, 2026. Business leaders, educators, healthcare experts, marketing and tech professionals, and founding entrepreneurs are welcome to take part. Reserve your space today and receive a 15% discount courtesy of EdUp Accelerated Excellence with the code EDUPXE15OFF. That's EDUPXE15OFF. Learn more and register online at the2conf.com. That's the2conf.com with the code EDUPXE15OFF.
Welcome to EdUp Accelerated Excellence, the podcast for the advancement of educational excellence and equity. And I am your host, Jacob Easley, the second PhD, PMP. Another wonderful guest, Richard Benbow, Regional Vice President for Western Governors University. I'm going to allow him to give voice to his name and introduce himself to you, the EdUp Accelerated Excellence community. Rick, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dr. Beasley. Really appreciate the time and the opportunity to speak with you today about Western Governors University. Again, I am Rick Benbow, Regional Vice President for Western Governors University here in the West region. Cover Arizona, Nevada, and California. And just really excited about the opportunity to speak with you today.
Excellent, thank you. So we're going to jump right in. WGU, Western Governors University's foundational model can be described as breaking traditional barriers, where WGU was built to re-envision what college could be: affordable, flexible, and accessible to working adults and underserved communities, where a flat rate tuition model means students aren't paying by credit hour, but by the term. So the faster they move, the less they pay. Most students graduate within 2 years. Competency-based learning puts real-world experience to work. Students earn credits from what they already know, whether from military service, job training, or previous education. So, Rick, what would you add to that description of the foundational model for WGU?
Great question, and just a wonderful components of what WGU is and what it can be for so many adult learners who aren't traditionally well served by the brick and mortar institutions. We were founded in 1997 by 19 Western state governors who sought out to create a more affordable, flexible, accessible pathway for working adults. Those individuals who found themselves, challenged either through finances or family dynamics, where the time or the money wasn't there to, continue their journey, whereby the traditional model is again by seat time. Our founding fathers, this was invented right around the advent of the internet. Had the foresight to think that the internet could be a groundbreaking technology that could really expand pathways for those individuals seeking higher opportunity. One of the founders had a military background, and from his experience, he recognized that within the military, you're promoted by just demonstrating competencies. And he transferred that concept to Western Governors University. And hence, we are the nation's first and largest competency-based universities where we measure learning and competencies and skills associated with a particular course, and students advance when they demonstrate those competencies, similar to the military. And again, you mentioned our flat rate tuition model, which is 6-month terms. There's one flat rate, and as many classes as you can complete within that 6 months, the price point doesn't change. And so individuals who are extremely motivated, determined, can leverage that model to accelerate, thereby controlling those extenuating variables that sometimes, prevent us from pursuing our goals. And the ability to manage the amount of money you're spending on your education, and of course, the time component where you can access the material that is most convenient for you.
So thank you for that. Many institutions are, if they haven't already, are considering how to join this enterprise of online learning or to expand their reach in online learning. But this idea of competency-based, let's flesh it out a bit, because I think people may have different understandings of what that means, and there may be a very particular WGU approach. So some places talk about things like credit for lifelong learning. So if you work somewhere else, you can parlay that into credit. For WGU, what is competency-based learning, and what is that model? How is it assessed, for example?
Yeah. So our assessment model is there is a assessment associated with each course, and that course is broken down into components of competencies and skills. We work very closely with industry to determine what those competencies and skills are for a specific course. Say, for example, accounting, where you have your debits, your credits. How do you register those on a general ledger? Say, for example, someone who has been a bookkeeper for their family business for 10 to 15 years, running kind of like the accounting system, but they don't necessarily have the certificate or the degree that said that they are an accountant. If they were to re-enroll and go the traditional route to a university, more than likely they would start from Accounting 101. With WGU, you have the ability to probably be placed in Accounting 101, but at any point in time where you feel that you can demonstrate the competencies and skills associated with Accounting 101, you can simply raise your hand and demonstrate that your vast experience or your previous experience has afforded you those skills and competencies to advance. Again, you raise your hand, you take the assessment, you can pass the assessment, leveraging what you have learned in the past so that you can accelerate. But not only that, it allows you to not focus on what you already know, but spend more time on what you don't know, as opposed to starting from square one and going A through Z the entire semester, only to have the opportunity to demonstrate your knowledge of that course at the end of 6 months. At WGU, we realize that learning happens all around us, and that we acquire competencies and skills in any number of ways, either prior learning experience, the opportunity to pick up a book and learn on your own. Again, if you have the ability to demonstrate that competency at any point in time during that course, you can simply raise your hand, pass the assessment, or if you pass the assessment, accelerate and move on to the next course.
Oh, I really like that. I love that description as well. So stated in a different way, you're meeting students where they are. So you demonstrate the competencies, and now we will advance you to the next level in the progression towards meeting your academic goals or career goals.
Absolutely.
And I like this idea. You mentioned something that I rarely hear folks say, but industry-based, so industry partners help to establish what the competencies are. Is that the norm?
That is the norm for WGU. We have a number of employer partnerships in which individuals from those industries or corporations help us ensure that the curriculum entails the latest and greatest of skills or competencies in demand. And so we like to say that our students are absolutely prepared for real work the moment they graduate, because those skills and competencies and the most in-demand skills and competencies are embedded within our curriculum.
Yeah, so this really is an innovation. So, and with any innovation, there are challenges, whether they be in the form of naysayers or the need to build out an infrastructure or a vessel to operationalize the newly conceived endeavors. So what has been the significant challenge that WGU has faced in leading innovation, and how has the organization addressed that challenge?
That's a great question. I think initially, the biggest hurdle for Western Governors University was really just the credibility of the curriculum, and maybe um, uh, individuals not necessarily accepting or understanding that what we do is truly innovative, relevant, but also credible. And I think what you can see probably within the last 10 years or so is that the market has recognized WGU and what we offer and the way we do it as simply valid. Um, we have grown to 190,000 students currently enrolled. In 27 years, we have conferred over 400,000 degrees. We have seen year-over-year growth over the last 9 years, but most definitely since the pandemic. And so, our surveys, if you will, of corporations indicate, I think it's like 96% of those employees surveyed when, asked about or inquired about a WGU student. Those employers say that 96% of the time that WGU student is ready to hit the ground running upon hire. And we continue to grow. We continue to meet students where they are. And again, allowing individuals to invest in themselves, get the credentials that they need, the real work experience that they need through our curriculum, again, to hit the ground running and contribute almost immediately to their employer.
So we're speaking with Rick Benbow, who is the Regional Vice President for Western Governors University. So Rick, you have been a vocal proponent, or you've been vocal about your passion for driving innovation in higher education. Where do you think that passion comes from, and when did you first realize or notice the spark?
Another great question, and again, I'm glad my passion is coming through because this is something I truly believe in. Prior to coming to Western Governors University, I worked at UCLA, and I was in their Government and Community Relations Department. I lived in Long Beach and worked at UCLA. Distance-wise, it's about 28 miles. Time-wise, it's about an hour and 45-minute drive. I am a thinker and problem solver, and when you have that much time by yourself, at least I wanted to solve all the world's problems. And really just being in California, the thought that came to me on one of those commutes was, if I was somebody who didn't necessarily have a bachelor's degree or master's degree, and the way I grew up and the way I was taught is that education is the truest pathway to opportunity, what could I do in dealing with this traffic that would allow me to improve my circumstances and be able to remain in California? And I thought about the different routes and the traditional schools that I could attend, maybe on my route to or from school or to work. And every option seemed impossible. It was just traffic and time constraints. And when you talk about work-life balance, I didn't see an opportunity to improve my circumstances looking at the traditional model. I got a phone call from Western Governors University, and I had never heard of Western Governors University. I did a little bit of research and, learned about the competency-based model, learned about the fact that they're accredited. They have 4 schools in the highest demand fields. Accredited nonprofit, you can access the curriculum on your time. That began to answer the question I had to myself that one day in traffic, an hour, 45-minute commute, that Western Governors University, to your point earlier, meets students where they are, gives them the ability to invest in themselves, pursue the education without the traditional constraints. Nonprofit, flat rate tuition. As a working adult, that is something that is amenable to where I am. It truly meets me where I am. I'm not looking at the financial constraints. I have the ability to work around the time constraints and truly improve my circumstances. And once I did a little bit more digging and met the people at Western Governors University, I was filled with this thought that this is the why. I am somebody who firmly believes in the power of higher education. I have 2 master's degree and a bachelor's degree. I was crazy enough to think that, taking on that debt, it would pay off. A lot of people aren't that, crazy, if you will. I was, but I do know that there is a better way, and that better way is Western Governors University. When you're truly looking to upskill, reskill, improve your circumstances, upward mobility, you have to have the agency to be able to control time, control cost. And Western Governors University has become my why, and I am simply just super, super passionate about the ability to open up these different pathways to individuals who want to improve their circumstances through education.
So, I'm struck by this idea of here you are in traffic, and yes, Long Beach is absolutely beautiful, and it's not that far from LA, but you mentioned this hour commute. But in that commute, you're trying to solve real world problems, not only for yourself, but for others. So kudos to you for that. And you're also a graduate of Howard University and HBCU.
Yes.
That was one of my choices. I chose Morehouse. And so Howard is the Morehouse of the co-ed Morehouse of the North, but that's fine. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So I had to tease you about that. But WGU, as you mentioned earlier, is known as the nation's first and largest competency-based university in the U.S. And my professional field is education. You have one of the largest education preparation programs in the nation as well. How does that shape your stewardship every day?
Again, as somebody who firmly believes in the power of higher education, I grew up from a community where a lot of folks didn't have the ability to invest in themselves. They primarily had to work right out of high school. And to me, if you don't have the ability to believe in the American dream, to invest in yourself, to pursue better circumstances or improve your circumstances, then the American dream really doesn't exist. At WGU, we firmly believe that we are reinvigorating the power of higher education by making it affordable, by making it flexible, by making it accessible to those individuals who find themselves without the necessary resources to pursue education in a traditional pathway. And again, it has become my why. And I love what I do every day. And just to kind of give you an example of some of the impact that we're having, we received a grant from the state of California to address the teacher shortage here in California. It was a $5 million grant, and our promise to the state of California is with that $5 million, we would move 200 paraprofessionals to degree and credential to address the workforce shortage. Within a very short period of time, the model that WGU provides for individuals who are teaching in the classroom, who are building up skills and competencies, right, in the classroom on a daily basis, to then enroll to earn their bachelor's or master's degree in education and leverage what they're learning in the classroom to accelerate. In a 6-month time frame, what we have seen is that, number one, retention is at a 100%. Two is that within 6 months, we had like 30 graduates because they were leveraging what they already learned in the classroom to accelerate to degree. Third, what we're noticing is that persistence. People are continuing to enroll and meet their on-time progress of reaching their overall goal. And I think that's just a reward system, and being able to not only see the success, but see your progression, to be in control of that journey, that you achieve things a lot quicker, you can accelerate, and the small wins that you have during that journey keeps you coming back. And so persistence, retention, and impact is what we are driving at WGU through this competency-based model. So again, those individuals who have work experience or are building those competencies and building those skills, but don't necessarily have the certificate or the degree to validate that, WGU is an absolute way for you to leverage what you already know to accelerate to your credential and your certificate and really validation of the skills and competencies that you have learned, not only through WGU, but any prior life experience.
Thank you for listening to EdUp Accelerated Excellence. This episode is supported by the 2.0 conferences to be held in Las Vegas, Nevada, USA, April 7th through 9th, 2026. Business leaders, educators, healthcare experts, marketing and tech professionals, and founding entrepreneurs are welcome to take part. Reserve your space today and receive a 15% discount courtesy of EdUp Accelerated Excellence with the code EDUPXE15OFF. That's EdUPXE15OFF. Check out the details in the show notes or learn more and register online at the2conf.com. That's the2conf.com with the code EDUPXE15OFF.
So I want to stick with this line of thought, because at this time, we do see groups or factions within the education community, well, maybe perhaps outside the education community, but that are questioning or challenging the value of higher education. So what would you say to someone who is considering WGU for a major or higher education in general, when there are groups that are saying, you should spend your time elsewhere, questioning the ROI of higher education?
I think that speaks more to the price point of traditional higher ed at this point in time, where average tuition across the nation is probably upwards of 30, 40, 50,000 per year, not including cost of living. And so when you look at that traditional journey, average graduation time, let's just put it at 5 years, you're looking at about $100,000 in debt. It's going to be very, very difficult for you to get that return on investment from day one. With Western Governors University, our low price point tuition, which is an average of a little over $4,000 per 6-month term, you have the ability to complete as many classes as you can within that 6-month term. Our average graduation rate or time is about 2 years, maybe a little over 2 years. Again, the ability to control cost and really fit in your educational journey that's convenient for you. It's a lot easier to receive or to see the return on an investment of average cost of, let's just say, $14,000-15,000, right about in there, as opposed to $100K. And the ability to learn and earn, I think, is a key component that is like our secret sauce, if you will. Mm-hmm. The ability to optimize your workforce value with WGU. And what I mean by that is that because we have an earn and learn, we have a model, competency-based model that allows you to access the curriculum on your time. You have the ability, if you're studying accounting, going back to the accounting exam, if you are an accounting assistant and you are working on your accounting degree at Western Governors University, you have alignment with experience and your educational pathway. Mm-hmm. As you get more education, you can move up in that accounting field. And so that return on investment, you can realize a lot quicker because you have the ability to optimize your workforce value, meaning that your experience aligns with your degree educational pathway. Very, very difficult for individuals who are going to, any brick and mortar school where more than likely they are working at a fast food restaurant or a retail outlet and, getting a degree in accounting. When they graduate, it says on their resume, I was a sales associate at Best Buy or whatever retail cashier, but I have an accounting degree. They don't have the ability to optimize their workforce value simply because they have misalignment with the experience and that educational pathway. And I think that's the difference of WGU, where you can realize that value and get the return on investment a lot quicker if you're very, very fortunate and very smart about aligning your experience and your educational certificates and degrees.
And the fact that you bring in industry partners to help design curriculum and shape what that curriculum looks like on an ongoing basis, ensures that there is alignment, and that's really wonderful. Imagine, I haven't studied with WGU, but imagine that the work that you're doing on a day-to-day basis relates directly to what you're learning in the classroom at some point. So I can see that being sort of an external motivator, because it now brings what you're learning in the classroom into your real day-to-day work experience, or even your lived experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what you learn at work, you can leverage to accelerate in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And what you learn in the classroom, you can leverage to contribute more at the job, which brings more value and gives you that upward mobility within your job.
So let's talk about one of your new initiatives at WGU that encapsulates equity in action. So a focus on identifying and developing students from historically underrepresented communities into the technology field. Can you describe this initiative and who it serves, and what are some of the outcomes you've seen, like when you shared the outcomes from your preparation of preparing paraeducators or teaching assistants to become fully licensed teachers?
Yeah, our initiative is called the Tech Impactors Network. And again, what we realized that WGU can address workforce shortages at scale. And a lot of times that's really just helping employers identify talent and helping talent identify various pathways to get to their goal. One of the things that we noticed in the Bay Area is that there was something called the leaky tech pipeline. Essentially, what that means is that there was not a lot of retention and not a lot of on-ramps or pathways for underserved individuals to find their way into the tech field. Given our model, we thought that we could address this problem and provide those pathways at scale with WGU. And so what we have done is we've partnered with nonprofit organizations that provide level 1 IT certificates. We've leveraged our alums who work at Cisco, JP Morgan Chase, Deloitte, Lucasfilms, Apple, Google. And we are, by our alums are representing these companies, and we're bringing those companies through our alums to this setting, if you will, of a place where individuals seeking level 1 IT certificates can, meet with our alums, and our alums are serving as mentors, talk to those individuals that are in the field, learn about the field, get resume reviews, learn about the nuances of the field, learn about the new happenings, where are the job opportunities. And with WGU being a convener of this space, if you will, where individuals can earn social capital, mentorships, exposureships with individuals who look like them, we think we can increase not only recruitment, but also retention and address the leaky tech pipeline at scale. And so the Tech Impactors Network is really a space where employers who are seeking diverse talent, underserved, underrepresented talent, can come and see that talent, but also for those individuals who are just looking for those different on-ramps, can come to a space and really interact, if you will, with these companies, our alum who serve as mentors, and learn about the nuances of the tech space and feel that much comfortable earning that social capital as they prep to enter the field. And what we've done with some of these nonprofit organizations is that we are accepting those level 1 IT certificates for credit into WGU. And so not only are we, bringing these two groups together of talent and employers, but we're also providing a pathway where through WGU we can scaffold those IT certificates to certified credentials and degrees for entry-level positions into these tech companies.
So I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it really sounds like you've thought through a model of access.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
how to make education accessible to a broad range of communities who, and particularly working adults, who may not otherwise have an opportunity. And because it's online, you're bringing the programs to them as well.
Absolutely.
So can you just describe what is the average age of one of your WGU students?
Nationally, our average age hovers around like 34 years old.
Mhm.
But in the West region, we skew a little bit younger, and we're starting to see that 18 to 25-year-old demographic or population within WGU in the West region increase. And so I think the last time I checked, we had about 20% of our students fall within that 18 to 25% range, which I think goes back to your earlier point of return on investment and kind of like the prevailing thought amongst those individuals who are seeking those educational pathways. The current cost of the traditional pathway is way too much to take on at such an early age, and I am glad that WGU exists for that population. Again, having the ability to invest in yourself and be able to control some of those barriers is absolutely paramount to being able to increase your workforce value and earn a decent living, here in the United States.
So for most of us in higher ed, there are usually two camps. There's your undergrad population and there's your graduate population. I was fortunate enough to peep over the shoulder of someone who was a student in one of your MBA programs. So I got to hear about the support models. So thinking about those two different groups, what do your support models look like for folks? If you're, let's say, an 18-year-old, you're deciding, well, I might give WGU a try, but I don't know what type of supports will be available to me, which is different from a sort of grad school because you've already gone to school once. And as you mentioned, most of the folks are probably working adults and maybe a bit more motivated, so the theory says. But what does your support models look like for undergrad and graduate students?
Great question, and I think they're completely the same. Our students are assigned a program mentor from the moment they start to the moment they graduate. And really the program mentor is a support coach, an accountability coach, a coach that helps you navigate all that goes along with your educational journey. There may be different problems or a different set of circumstances for somebody coming out of high school or a little bit younger, let's say 20 or 20 years old, where maybe it's finances, maybe they don't have the job that they would desire at this point in time, and that can kind of be a hiccup. Or maybe they could have young children, and that becomes kind of a challenge to deal with. The program mentor is there with them every step of the way to coach them through those different dynamics. Let's set up a study schedule that it can accommodate for you, maybe spending time with your young child. There are financial aid and scholarships that we have available to help those students who are financially challenged to overcome some of those circumstances. And then from a graduate standpoint, life circumstances may be a little bit different. Maybe it is a full-blown job that is too demanding. Maybe they're going on a family vacation. Maybe their children are off to, sports games and, travel teams. The coach is there to help them navigate all those things that are thrown in at whatever stage their life is, to help them plan in advance to ensure that they remain, on time in their progress towards their degree. And there is nothing like having a coach there with you along the way, where you never feel like you're by yourself. Our instructors are available to talk one-on-one and maybe talk through some challenges from an educational standpoint. And then we have alumni resources, or Ask an Alum, and other chat groups where students are free to just reach out, through an email or a chat to see what's available, see the resources, connect with someone who is either a part of the WGU faculty or a part of the WGU ecosystem, or an alum to help that student navigate those challenges and encourage them along the way until they complete.
And I want to probe a bit more about support. I know that you have a unique approach to helping folks transition. I'm just thinking about traditional student from college into work life. So you do have some programming that really helps folks. I think you mentioned this earlier around resume writing and interviewing. How are students responding to those type of services?
Wow. Yeah, you just reminded me. So we do have our career services team here at Western Governors University, and we just had an alumni event 2 weeks ago in Riverside, and we were very, very fortunate to have one of our career services team members come out and really give a deep dive on professionalism and presenting yourself on LinkedIn. And it just wasn't, this is a good headshot. We had a photographer there taking headshots, and then our career services team members walk through the different components of LinkedIn. How does the algorithm work? Where do you have the most real estate to accentuate your skills and competencies? Where should you spend the most of the time? How do you leverage all of this real estate to ensure that you are prepped and stand out as a candidate? It was just a phenomenal, phenomenal session. But again, that is some of the things that we are doing here at WGU to ensure, again, that our students are absolutely prepared, not only with skills and competencies, but now they know how to frame those skills and competencies on LinkedIn. And they have our career services group to reach out to for those opportunities and resources. And then we also have companies coming in and posting their jobs to WGU and availing those opportunities to WGU students.
Oh, so that's absolutely beautiful. You have a tremendous amount of momentum going on here that really supports students at all levels. What would you say is next for you or for WGU that folks in the EdUp Accelerate Excellence community can look out for? But more importantly, how can folks connect with your work and the work of WGU?
That's a great question. And I'll make this a little bit personal, just in terms of what I want to accomplish here at WGU. And I think it's on the top of minds in different education publications. But I was a internship with Hughes Aircraft when I graduated from Howard University. And my undergraduate degree was international business with a concentration in finance. And now when I was at Hughes Aircraft, I was in procurement. Didn't have alignment at all. I was unfortunately laid off within 6 months of starting my full-time position. And this is where I kind of came up with the concept. I tried to get back into the workforce after being laid off, and my experience said I was a procurement person. But unfortunately, I didn't have enough experience in procurement. My degree was international business, with the concentration in finance. Had no experience in international business or finance. And so I found myself grappling with where would I fit in the workforce. And I think with WGU, we have the ability to help students get that alignment early on in the process. And I would love to see WGU support the development of apprenticeship programs where students, again, have the ability to get that alignment and that workforce value very early on in the process, working in IT while you're earning your IT certificate or degree at WGU. That is paramount for those individuals who absolutely see education as their pathway to upward mobility. It's not just the degree with any old experience anymore. The applicant tracking system is too sophisticated. The algorithms are too sophisticated just to accept a degree. They're looking for hard skills that are pertinent to the job at hand. WGU, with our model, has the ability to ensure that students have those skills and they have the educational alignment. And I think about as we move forward and we reevaluate the return on investment for the traditional higher ed models, as we hear corporations scream and shout that they don't see the talent and the students that they're hiring from traditional higher ed don't have the hardcore skills that they need to meet the business objectives. That is a place that I think that we can address, that we can solve for at scale. And I am, working diligently to ensure that anybody who wants to invest in themselves and knows exactly what they want to do and no pathway to get there, I want to make sure that not only am I there as a confidant, coach, mentor, whatever I can do, but I want to, leverage my role to ensure that WGU can help those individuals out as much as possible.
And you're in the western part of the U.S., but you're speaking to anyone who might be in Miami or New York or in the middle of the states as well, and even internationally, I'm sure.
Not international just yet.
Not yet.
But at some point.
I like this because I noticed that in that last portion of what you were talking about, you were dreaming out loud.
Yes.
And so now we're giving you the space to continue to dream. So WGU going international. So we're saying it today, and we're going to look forward to that work because, Rick, we know that you are a go-getter, and if you dream it, it's going to happen.
I appreciate that, and I'll receive that, and onward and upward with WGU.
Hey, that's Excelsior. So how can folks connect with you and your work, or connect with any of the wonderful folks at WGU?
I'm on LinkedIn under Richard Benbow, Benbow, and also available via email, rick.benbow, that's Benbow, at wgu.edu.
And Rick, before we leave, I want to give a shout out again to the Tech Impactors Network, which is one of your new initiatives. And I believe 40% of the school's students in that initiative are Black and Latinos. Is that right?
That is correct.
So you're doing tremendous work. That's local. Is it still localized in the Bay Area or beyond the Bay Area for tour?
Right now, for the West region, we are local to the Bay Area, again, solving the leaky tech pipeline and helping the tech industry, discover talent. But we also have impactor networks launching nationwide, be it Health Impactor Network, be it Educator Impact Network. There are a number of impactor networks that WGU is launching nationwide.
So look for one of the impact networks or impactors networks from WGU and other areas outside of tech, education, healthcare. And so we thank you for this opportunity, Rick, to learn with and from you here at EdUp Accelerated Excellence.
Thank you for the time, Dr. Beasley. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for engaging with EdUp Accelerated Excellence, a member of the EdUp Experience Network of educational podcasts. You can find this and other episodes on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Radio, and other outlets where you listen to your favorite podcasts. If you like this episode, don't forget to follow us and share within your network. To leave a comment or suggest a guest, contact us online at edupxe.com.